For Claudia Patricia Gomez Gonzalez, murdered on May 23, 2018 by U.S. Border Patrol. It is hard to imagine your face half dirt, half blood, pressed against U.S. soil, the only way this land will claim our kind. This is what happens, you see. The agent reminds the three survivors as he places handcuffs on their brown, sun-scorched skin. A misdemeanor turned murder when you refuse to acknowledge that your eyes held a story that many will never get to hear. 2 weeks ago, you'd promised Mamita a better life back home once you reached Virginia and your lover. On the television screen, your mother begs for your body to be returned where it belongs. Princesita, the world mourned you, still does. We all have moments of silence when rage consumes us. I often wonder if our voices still have sound. Some days, when silence fills the air, I think about the children in cages, their cries asking for any sign of familiarity from two lands who cannot raise them to take flight. One they fled from, and the other only knows how to spit them back. Did you feel what freedom feels like before your eyes turn to safety white? Are you finally at peace? I know San Juan Ostancalco will always think of you, my Yanam hero. This is what happens, you see, when it becomes too easy to confuse human with animal, pointing aim at life, at anything that dares to interfere with manifest destiny. Claudia's dream did not belong in this America. Only in fictitious history textbooks, making white man the hero of every scenario, disguising violence with promises of greatness. Lady Liberty has turned her back, using the pretext of fear to close the golden gates. This is no new Colossus. In America, migrant dreams are flightless birds. In America, you, the migrant, cannot dream lest you are dead. This is what happens, you see, when the world becomes devoid of empathy, filling in blanks with new names of the murdered, of the lost, of the forgotten. To the ones in power, we demand action. Words mean nothing when Claudia cannot read, cannot see, cannot live. When motherless children have dreams of light-up sneakers and survival, ejected from courtrooms for their profane silence when their mouths have yet to hatch the word mama. This is what happens, you see, when borders become militarized weapons and bodies become just numbers. Claudia was only 19 years old. Some nights I think I've made it. In the moonlight, my skin is iridescent. Its pearly whiteness teases me with privilege. I shake it off. Remember, Claudia. Remember the children. Where are the children? What is the difference between swine in slaughterhouses and men without homelands, both waiting to be rescued? I have seen the blood of both swine and man, tired hands, slumped masses. My mother says their eyes are too close to human, which is why she could no longer send bolts into their temples. My father knows his way with knives. Sunday mornings spent sharpening the kitchen knives proudly. 22 years of time spent perfecting his craft, 22 years bathed in blood. His calloused hands speak a lifetime of conversation, saying things like, become somebody. Don't end up like me, spilling blood on cutting tables, like this is not the American dream, like I cannot afford to retire. I wonder if my mother ever thought of their blood when birthing 6 children. She told me stories of carving life from the wombs of deceased mothers, carcasses of profit, boiled buckets of shortened lives. Those bloodied hands still knew how to hold a child tenderly, over and over again, instinctually, as if she knew how fragile our lives would too become in America. It is no secret this country enjoys the spilling of blood, never interested in its difference between the black-brown man and swine. It always looks the same, mostly useless, except when used to prove the breaking of a species and kind. That is what success looks like. Soon the knives will retire, and my father's story will always be about blood, death, and working hands. And yet I wish I knew why I still do not know how to answer the question, what do your parents do? A day spent shadowing, the smell of death haunting vividly my dreams. Rows of white costumes, a compelling juxtaposition, too perfect, it would almost seem made up. It was before then I was scared of the blood, but now I know why I have spent a lifetime trying to discard these putrid memories. My mother and father have seen blood for too long. Decades spent in bloodied rooms, bloodied walls, and shoes and bodies, paused embraces for cleansing, yet crimson in their ears. Some marks of war will never see peace. I dream of blood, oceans of it, wondering when my parents will stop bleeding, stop drowning, wake up and feel alive. Is America to blame for the carnage? Or was this always the only life they were destined to live each time they opened their mouths and their tongues are too other, hair too dark, too thick, their skin too suspect? If there is no difference between swine in slaughterhouses and men without homelands, tell me, are my prayers for their escape in vain?